I've got some notes here because I don't just want to ramble, but I may end up rambling anyway. Thank you, Skip. That was definitely touched. I want to take you back a little bit. I know we all have a story, but I want to share a little bit of mine. I was raised in Everett, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. My father was a commercial fisherman, and he taught us how to play ball. He taught us how to ride bikes. When I was about 10 years old, there was nothing that I thought my father couldn't do. Did I mention he was blind? He would take me down to the park with my sister, and he would send me out into the outfield. And he would say, "Skip." And I'd say, "Dad, I'm over here." And he would point to make sure. And I'd say, "Yeah." And then he would take a few tracks, and he'd hit one out eventually, and I'd throw it back in, and my sister would give it to him, and we'd do it again and again. "Skip." "Dad, I'm over here." And it was just amazing. He took such joy in us kids playing ball, and what we did it was phenomenal. He had a great sense of humor too. When I was playing Pony League, they would tell him when I'd be up at bat. And you could tell by the crowd if an umpires would miss a call. And he would stand up and he'd hold up his cane, white fluorescent with red on it, and say, "Hey, ump, you need this more than I do." He was just an amazing man. There was nothing that he wouldn't try or wouldn't do for us kids. My mother was an Irish lady. My father obviously was Italian. But she was an Irish lady, and she had a sense of humor too. And us kids, there was 5 of us, we could always tell when they argued. Because my dad would always be dressed funny. She would set up his clothes for him. So if he caught on to that, he would say, before he'd leave the house or going down to the bar or whatever, he'd say, "Skip, how do I look?" And I wouldn't say anything, and he'd say, "That woman." My father took such joy in my playing ball that I think even today I'm still trying to please him. But I joined the Air Force in 1966. I'll never win the mega bucks because I've never played the lottery. But I'll tell you what, in 1967 I hit the jackpot. I met a lovely lady named Pam Mosnitz, who ended up being my wife for 43 years. Caring, unselfish, loving personality that changed my life. And we have 3 kids, and she even delayed her becoming a Lutheran pastor for about 10 years so that I could finish my Air Force career and get the kids out of school before and now she's celebrating her 10th year as a Lutheran pastor. So she's an unselfish, wonderful woman. She's had an amazing influence on our kids, 3 talented, very musical, wonderful kids, Lori, Jenny, and Skip. We moved 9 times in 20 years in the Air Force. There was one year the kids had 3 different school systems. And they never complained once. At least about the moving, anyway. But in 1977, as Skip said, I came to Omaha, and somehow I met Chuck Maxwell. And I played for the West Side Chapel. It was known as the Chapel then. And there was a mystique about the Chapel. We always seemed to come out of a game with a win somehow. And Chuck was a great organizer, and he's the kind of guy that makes people feel good about themselves. In the 90s, Chuck started a farm club in Iowa, as Skip alluded to. And Chuck, I want to thank you for that, because one of the highlights of my career was to play with my son. And that was just amazing for those years, Chuck. 2 great men that played for Westside are no longer with us, Larry Maxwell and John Bartek, and they're sorely missed. Over the years, they've had many great athletes. Larry Miller, Frank Slezak, Dick George, Beneke, Dave Larson, Tim Maxwell. I'll tell you, those nights when Frank Slezak and Tim would hit a ball in the night sky would be like a dissolving aspen disappearing. At one time, I think we played with the 4 Maxwell kids, Tim, Jim, Jeff, and Chip. It was amazing. We had a great fan base. The Begleys were always out there, Carl and Lola Kelly. Bob Trailer. It was just amazing. Carol Ann Johnson. In 1977 and 78, we went through and won the Open Metro tournament, both those years. And I remember somebody coming up and asking me, what do you owe the success? You guys always seem to be able to pull it out. And I said, well, first look at who I'm playing with. The caliber of ball was just great. And second of all, I said, personally, I can sum up my success as a pitcher in 2 words, and that is Pat Vendetti. When I got to Omaha in 1977, all I wanted to do was throw it by somebody. But Pat would take me, he'd say, Skip, that was my name when I was a kid. He'd say, Skipper, he says, you need to change speeds, we need to move the location and stuff. And that's been a wonderful partnership over the years, Pat. Pat's son is in the Yankee Farm Club and is a Boston Red Sox guy. I guess it's okay, but I don't know. Time also passed, and I had the good fortune to play with other softball icons. Tonight, Chuck Palladino's here, Jimmy Wilmot, Rocky Kubat. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. The Tom Gordon coached that team. And I even played with Bob Knudsen with a year for the Coors. In closing, I've learned over the years that fast pitch is a game between equals and under equal and honorable conditions. And now I try to model that as a coach of Duchenne Academy of the Sacred Heart. I'd like to thank Chuck Palladino for giving Herb Coop my name, and I'd like to thank Herb and Sheila Haggis for taking a chance on an old guy that coached the team, and it's just, I love doing it. So I want to thank all my friends and all the ball players that have showed up tonight. I want to share the honor with those ball players and all the ball players that I've played all over the world for the United States Air Force. Alice Shattauer, how'd they do? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. What a nice family. Son talks about